Ladies and gentlemen, do not adjust your television sets. If you are rocking with us here live, whether it be through Facebook, whether it be through YouTube Live, you already know what time it is. We are the mega powers of podcasting here in the On the Money Sports Lounge and Casino area, coming to you for another edition, a special edition of On the Money Podcast here tonight on the night where it officially breaks out. The NFL 2025 schedule is out in the open. It's been leaking all day long. And now here we are tonight going live for the podcast on the same night, simultaneously as the release of the entire schedule to break everything down, circle some matchups on our calendar, and maybe give some preseason predictions on what we think is going to play out before us. As always, beside me, none other than the man himself, our tech guy. Go Knicks as Chris chimes in. It's Oscar O'Money with the perfect bangs, checking in, wearing the Titan blue, just like me. Love the support.
Listen,
it's going to look even better.
My wife calls it my Zach Morris hair.
It's going to look even better when everybody in the On the Money Sports League is wearing the two-tone blue of the Tennessee Titans for the family photo that we will be taking on draft day.
It sickens me.
I love it. Love to see it, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to look amazing. Everybody's going to look great. I better see smiles on all faces. You know, we're talking.
Last year, nobody
release.
really smiled but the Eagles fans.
I smiled. I was already a couple beers in.
You were.
I was being festive. You know, I'm excited for draft day. I love draft day.
Cassie was
It's
in
a
the
great
photo.
day. It's a great day.
She ran in at the last second, and my dad had to grab her.
I'm always excited for draft day. You know, this will be year 7 of being in the On the Money Sports League for me.
Team Pro promo. Nah, today this was a swab for men here. I don't know how I feel about it. I do got to get myself a nice shampoo, get a little oil treatment going because
nice
I'm not
bounce.
cutting my hair because
Nice
I had
bounce.
this planned. I've been growing my hair out since pretty much the end of December because I felt in my heart, I was like, yo, I'm about to win the On the Money Sports Championship for a third time. I had my whole promo plan.
The entire gimmick was prepared.
The outfit was about to get ordered. I knew where my hair would be by then.
That's nuts.
And I lost by 0.5. So I told myself I'm not cutting it until next year. So if I can win any championship next year, I'm going to cut the promo in December and immediately cut my hair afterwards.
So I
won't wait for draft day.
If you don't win a championship, you're going to keep growing your hair.
Possible.
And your beard. You just keep growing it all
Well,
out.
the beard might get trimmed down. Bro, it's summertime. I'm about to take it down. Shit be hot in the warehouse. That's why I don't know if I can make it.
You're going to look like, what's his name? I can't forget. I can't forget.
I know you're talking about Kenny Rogers.
You're like Kenny Rogers. If you actually grow the hair out, because now it's like the white and the black together, bro.
Yeah.
Oh shit, dude, that's good stuff. I'm sorry, but I kind of want to see it happen, it's going to cost you a couple championships, but the entertainment value in seeing you grow out the hair, grow out the beard, that's good stuff right there. That is absolutely good stuff. I know you mentioned that you were going to have
Kenny Rogers? No.
Yeah, it's Kenny Rogers. Yeah.
All right.
Kenny Rogers. Remember because Will Sasso was doing he would do the imitations of Kenny Rogers.
I'm thinking about Kenny Rogers. Who's the other guy? Or Michael McDonald. Remember that from 40-Year-Old Virgin where Paul Rudd went up to the lady and goes, if I hear this song one more damn time, I'm going to blow my head off in the middle of the store.
Yeah.
I'm going to blow my head off in the middle of this store.
Yeah.
She's like, go back to work. Okay.
That's Ant-Man, dog. Who would have thought? All those years later.
I remember my first introduction to Paul Rudd was Clueless.
I don't remember what mine was.
Because my sister watched Clueless a lot. You know, when you had the black box, and the one movie would just continuously play like every 2 movies, and it would come on and she'd watch it. And so eventually I'm like, yo, the character's pretty cool. And if you go back and you look at Paul Rudd in 95 and you look at him today, he hasn't aged a day.
No. No, not at all. He's a vampire.
But
like Tom Cruise.
He was awesome in the 40-Year-Old Virgin, though.
Absolutely.
He truly was.
He stole the show for a good portion of it.
Yep.
He was definitely great. Chris, first one checking in, of course, in-house Knicks fan. A lot of in-house Knicks fans in the forum, probably going to be in the comment section. They lit up the comment section at the end of the podcast last week. The Knicks fans and the Celtics fans going back and forth. Since we last left you, a lot has changed. A lot has shifted. If you're just joining us now for the first time, ladies and gents, the Knicks are up 3-1 on the Boston Celtics. Tonight is game 5. They're at halftime, 59-59, tied ball game. No Jason Tatum for the Boston Celtics. Jason Tatum, unfortunately, suffered a non-contact injury in game 4.
You don't wish that upon anybody.
Rules him out until next season. So that just throws a huge wrench into everything going on the eastern side of the playoff picture, because last night the Indiana Pacers were able to close out on the Cleveland Cavaliers. So that's right. Pacers in 5. You got a
doubleheader week 2, week 3,
What's that for Monday Night Football?
Yeah, there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 doubleheaders this year for Monday Night Football. I'm just waiting
on one person in particular. Wonder who that could be. Could it potentially be in-house Boston Celtics fan?
We got a couple
Eric
of them.
Lopez.
And none of them have tuned in yet.
Paul Taylor's another one. He's been a little bit quiet with the whole situation going on with the Boston Celtics. I'm sure Celtics fans did not expect for this to happen. I didn't expect for this to happen. I said before this series started, if the Knicks were going to do any type of damage, they got to take game 1. Not only have they done that, they took 2 out of 3 after game 1, and now they're up 3-1, and they are closer to the Eastern Conference Finals than they have been in a couple of decades, last I remember. I don't think Tatum will be back until 2026, 2027 season. I mean, non-contact injuries are tricky like that. It absolutely sucks. I mean, you look at the situation with Tank Dell this year going into the football season. Nobody's expecting Tank Dell to be back for the 2025 season, potentially the 2026, 2027, and which case you wonder what player you're getting after not just healing from an injury like that, but being away from the game for that long. Now we're talking about 2 years away from the game. For Tatum, a player of his caliber, you hope that it doesn't affect him too much. Thankfully, he got 1 championship under his belt. It sucks for him. Celtics, though, still putting up a fight here, tied at halftime in game 5, back against the wall, going up against the New York Knicks team, who right now just has to be worried about closing at this point. You got to close this series, get this shit done and over with as quickly as possible, because you've got an Indiana Pacers team that just closed up their series, just pulled the upset, and they are hungry and waiting for the New York Knicks. We could potentially be getting Knicks versus Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals, just like it was in the 90s. You think back to Reggie Miller doing the choking symbol to Spike Lee and all the great moments those two rivals had against each other. Hell, Brunson and Halliburton, on WWE Monday Night Raw. Like
I shared that again today.
They're about to relive.
That was from a year ago.
This is Karl Malone, Dennis Rodman all over again, potentially, as far as their crossover and being able to promote off of the rivalry with these two brands and these two organizations and the playoff history that goes into it. It would be great. No matter what happens from this point forward, if the Nuggets, who are now down 3-2 to OKC, if the Nuggets get eliminated, that means we're going to have 4 teams in the Western Conference and Eastern Conference Finals who will be vying for their first championship, which is crazy.
That is true. Oh, Thanksgiving Day, Packers, Lions, Chiefs, Cowboys, Bengals, Ravens.
Yeah, Packers and Lions is always.
Can the Bengals and Ravens both lose?
A credit to good job. I like this slate right here. We've got Packers versus Lions to start the day on Thanksgiving. You've got Chiefs versus Cowboys,
and I think it's starting at
NFC versus AFC. And then you close it out with a big rivalry matchup, a game that's going to mean a lot for everybody on the AFC side, Bengals versus Baltimore Ravens. I appreciate that. That's a solid slate. That's like a Saturday night's main event type of slate right there. I'm all for
old school.
Make Thanksgiving football great again.
Hogan defending title, Savage defending the IC belt.
Yeah, I know that,
couple big promos in between.
I get it. NFL wants to stay conventional. You give us Packers versus Lions at 12. Totally get that. Whatever, man. Carving, Nobody's eating
I really
yet.
was hoping the Steelers played the Lions that day, so my turkey day could be real miserable.
And then you give us Cowboys and the Chiefs in the middle, which is intriguing. It's an interesting matchup right now with everything surrounding those two teams. I'm always a fan of AFC versus NFC. And then you close it out with, everybody knows, my boy, Derrick Henry, just got paid today. Big money off
$25 million guaranteed.
Off of a great year. You know what I mean? Getting his final pay because as this basically he's going to retire as a Baltimore Raven.
He's the highest paid running back ever over the age of 30.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be a good thing or a bad thing. It's just how Baltimore manages them. If Baltimore gives them too many carries, it could hurt. But if Baltimore doesn't give all those carries, it'll be just fine.
I think that his conditioning surpasses a lot of the running backs. I think that he's got 2 good years in him. And then from there, I think he'll be ready to walk. I think he'll be ready to walk away from the game.
I think this year is going to be another one of those 1,400 yards. But I think the following 2 are going to be like 900 to 1,000 yards, like campaigns. I think that's when it'll catch up.
I say 2 more years, and I think he'll be able to walk away from the game on his terms. His contract expires.
Damn, the Cowboys get Christmas too.
They're gonna put them front and center.
Christmas. Cowboys versus the Commanders at 1.
Exploded again. Oof.
Lions versus the Vikings.
Chris, that's a good point as far as Tatum. Like with KD, when they brought him back because of the Warriors were still competing in high level basketball games, so they brought KD back, and his shit ruptured in the finals game against Toronto. So that sucks. You gotta think to yourself how if you're the Boston Celtics, a team that's not too long ago won a championship themselves, now without their key piece, how do you build financially? How do you build like depth wise as far as the team that you're going to have without Jason Tatum?
There's 3 games on Thursday night for Christmas.
When Jason Tatum returns to the lineup, whenever that may be, which could potentially be in 2 years, not just next season.
I think Dallas versus Washington might be the best matchup of the day. KC versus Denver. Denver always
could
loses.
Be good, could be shit.
Detroit versus Minnesota. I fully expect Detroit to win.
Are we selling on the Vikings this year? Do we believe?
Got to see what JJ can do, bro. It's going to be tough. It's an unknown.
Yeah. Everything.
If Daniel Jones was still there, I would have said the Vikings would be a wild card winner. But I don't know what we're getting. As a person who owns JJ in my dynasty, I would love nothing more for him to be very good.
Oh, Daniel Jones has the opportunity to win the starting job.
Daniel Jones is going to win the starting job in the Colts.
There's nobody in Minnesota that you could really say has the chance to, like, if J.J. McCarthy doesn't work out, like, what do they pivot to? You know what I mean? Like, who's out there? Who's the backup out there right now?
Heineke, right?
Is it Heineke?
Yeah.
Taylor Heineke? Okay. Serviceable, but,
not the long-term answer.
For everybody who's out there hoping for a great season from their boy Justin Jefferson.
Only 2 night games for the Jets. Chris, we playing y'all week 1.
Chris, what's
going
on?
The NFL schedule odds makers knew what was going on. They said,
usually
we're going to send the guy who drinks the tea versus the guy who was spurned.
Yeah, that'll put butts in seats. Jets versus Steelers on week 1. Please be a 1:00 game.
It is.
Please, just be a 1:00 game. The guy with the hallucinogenic tea and the guy who didn't get the opportunity, but is going to get the opportunity from the team. Listen, Steelers ain't going to pay people. The Jets are going to pay people.
We pay people.
Yeah.
We pay our people.
Yeah.
We do pay our players.
You do.
We just try to
cater to one side of the football way more than you do the other side.
It's crazy when people say we're cheap. We just gave DK Metcalf $100+ million. I'm okay with them right now with this cat and mouse
game. But you needed to give with TJ Watt.
I'm complete. Like, they were going to pay Pickens too. But would you pay a guy who was acting like that all year? That's why DK Metcalf got traded for and got paid.
You needed to pay DK Metcalf, though. Like, that was the right thing to do. Nobody knocks you for it. It was great that you were able to get him for a second rounder. Good job by the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Only 4 primetime games. Thank you, Lord.
4 primetime. You got
as you get older, you don't want to stay up that late because you got to work the next day.
True. This is true.
We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 1:00 games as we speak. and only 425 games, I'm cool with that.
So if you have been hanging out with us as we go live for the NFL schedule release, please do me a favor, as I'm doing right now, 20 minutes into the pod because I forgot. Please like and share the podcast wherever you may be listening, wherever you may be watching. If you haven't already, grab yourself a cold beverage, kick back, relax, pull up your team schedule, talk to us about how you're feeling going into the new season. This is once again another stepping stone for us football addicts as we get the schedule released and we can now see who we are going up against. We can now start looking up tickets online for games.
I will say
making travel plans.
Thank goodness we don't got to play all of our division opponents in the back half of the schedule like last year.
They usually don't they usually do that?
This schedule's tough. This might be Tomlin's first losing season. You got the Jets.
That's what you wanted, right?
Yeah.
That's what that's what you wanted.
At the Jets.
Special referee?
Yeah. At the Jets.
That pick.
Home for the Seahawks. At New England. In Ireland for Minnesota. Then the bye, which is early as hell. Then they play their home for the Browns, away for the Bengals on Thursday night, home for the Packers, home for the Colts, away for the Chargers, home for the Bengals, away for the Bears, home for the Bills, away for the Ravens, home for the Dolphins, away for the Lions, away for the Browns, and home for the Ravens.
Okay.
There's no... But you know what this crazy part? We're doing this in May, and we don't know what teams are going to look like come September because injuries are going to happen to key players on key teams, and
we don't. We're still going to run with the information because we are football addicts. And up until about the middle of October, we have no information to go off of besides what we saw last year. Some of the shittiest football that we are going to see all season long is going to happen in the first 6 weeks of the NFL.
Yes.
We are going to be so pumped and so ready for the disappointment and the upsets and the stupid 15-yard penalties and the offside penalties that don't get called and the pass interferences and the why didn't he just run it up the middle for 2 yards for a first down? Like it's all going to happen. We have an entire summer to prepare ourselves to overreact for what we are about to watch in September. At least we know tonight, at least we know today for the NFL release day who our opponents are going to be, where we're going to be going, how many miles our team is going to be traveling, who we're going to be hosting for the home opener for our teams. Like for us, week 2,
looks like Mikey's been active on Twitter lately.
Yeah? What's he talking about?
Look at that. He refreshed DJ.
Oh, man. He really wants him to work out.
And look what he got tweeted right there.
You guys really think DJ is going to be the answer for the Indianapolis Colts?
I don't think he's a long-term answer, but I think he's going to have a good year.
What's a good year?
I can see him throwing for 3,500 yards, running for another 5, throwing like 25 touchdowns, scoring 3.
25? So you're thinking he takes the job from Anthony Richardson early in the season?
I don't think that team believes in Anthony Richardson after that whole, I was gassed, man. I needed to breathe.
Is DJ the hungrier quarterback right now in that locker room, you know? Anthony Richardson was given the keys to the kingdom, basically, as a rookie coming in, getting drafted, entitled. And, DJ, in a way, I mean, he's paid, but he kind of lost his spot. He's a backup now somewhere else. They moved on to a couple spots now. So maybe lights a fire under him and maybe he does something. I am of the belief that he potentially ends up taking the job. I just don't know when exactly he's going to take the job. I feel like it's going to be a case of hot potato with Indianapolis, in my opinion. That's just me. Don't shoot the messenger. I've studied my enemy for a long time. I've hated the Colts for years. I've seen what they've been doing out there. So I feel as though it's going to come down to Anthony Richardson ends up getting benched for DJ, and then potentially DJ ends up getting benched in place of Richardson at the end of the year. They kind of play hot potato with the position, but I don't know. I could be wrong. We'll see what happens. Chris is in agreement with you, feeling as though DJ has something to prove this year.
Look, even Terrell said it.
He's capable of running an offense. You have reports coming out of Indy where they are going to be using Tyler Warren in the same type of capacity as the Saints used Taysom Hill, which is interesting when you think about it, because when you look at Taysom Hill, he's also throwing that rock. You know what I mean? Like, that's one of those things that he is capable of. So is Tyler Warren going to be expected to throw the ball downfield? If that's what they're talking about, we know that means he's going to end up getting some carries, which is a good thing for those of you who drafted him and are planning to draft him in redraft. But it should be interesting out there. A healthy Jonathan Taylor, Tyler Warren into the fold, Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman. Just a matter of time before we end up seeing that transition between Anthony Richardson to Daniel Jones, whenever that is. I'm inclined to agree with you as far as just the locker room not fully believing in Anthony
They don't.
Richardson.
After what happened last year, forget about it.
Based on his statements.
Forget about it.
Potentially just basically quit on the team on the field.
Yeah.
Type of shit. So it's
like, yo, you don't think the big boys up front ain't tired?
It's hard to win the locker room back after that. Not to mention the post-game presser. Like, on top of the fact you talked about it too after, and the things that came out of your mouth did not make you look or sound any better than the product that we saw on the field.
I should just go on NFL.com. That way we can look at some of these schedules.
Well, who do you want to pull up first? I was looking at the baseball scores. I'm still getting destroyed by Rob. In case anybody cares to know, shout out to the Sandlot Baseball Association. I've been getting smoked all week. Halfway through my ads, I've already burned. I just can't get right. But we shall prevail.
So this is a real legit schedule for the Giants that was leaked earlier.
The G-Men.
So week 1, they're on the road for the Commanders. Week 2, they're on the road again for the Cowboys. Then they get to come home to the confines of MetLife to host the Chiefs. They host the Chargers, which I wouldn't put past the Chargers to lose a game like that. I know, but I wouldn't put it past the Chargers because the Chargers be charging, dog. We know that.
We'll see.
Away for the Saints, listen. The Giants should be the favorite for that game. If there's no way Tyler Shaw or Spencer Rattler is beating the Giants. So that's good for the Giants right there.
You think Russ is still the quarterback by now? Like, now that you're reading into October at this point, so by then, do you feel as though Russ is still going to be the okay?
Then they're home for the Eagles on Thursday night. They go to Denver, at Philly again, home for the 49ers, at the Bears, home for the Pack, at the Lions, at the Patriots. They got a bye in week 14. Then they come home for the Vikings. Home for the Commanders, home for the Vikings. Then they're at LA and they're home for the Cowboys. Oof.
7-10.
It's a lot better than what they had last year.
Yeah. 7-10. Scrappy.
7-10 keeps 7-10 keeps Dable and Sheen together.
This kind of 7-10, you know? Just he almost got him, boys. Just if we did a couple more things right, you
don't know what you're getting with the 49ers.
Stuck away with a field
because their 49ers defense is practically almost everybody's new on that side of the ball.
Sounds like McCaffrey's healthy. Sounds like Ayuk is not going to be back for the beginning of the season. It sounds like Jawan Jennings is the wide receiver 1 for their football team right now. And Ricky Pearsall is looking like the wide receiver 2. Well,
let's look at their schedule.
And I think they start the year against the Seahawks, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's Seattle versus San Francisco.
So
they did say we had the hardest schedule this season.
At Seattle.
Look. What a coincidence.
Oh, wow. So
we just brought them up and they just pulled
They're at Seattle.
What site is this that we're looking at this on?
We're on YouTube watching the Bleacher Report live stream.
Bleacher Report live stream showing all the schedules right now. That's
they're at Seattle, at New Orleans, home for the Cardinals, home for the Jaguars, at the Rams, at the Bucks, home for the Falcons, at the Texans, at the Giants, home for the Rams, at the Cardinals, home for the Panthers, at the Browns, home for the Titans, at the Colts, home for the Bears, and home for the Seahawks. That could get them back in the hunt for a playoff spot, possibly.
Their schedule is manageable.
Yeah.
Based off of what you read off. The schedule is manageable, but it's easy to say that. However, there's still a lot of question marks surrounding what this team is actually going to look like because of so many new faces and new places for this football team.
I agree.
You know, this is one of those moments in time where you think to yourself, okay, Shanahan, here you go, taking another gamble, a huge risk right now you and Lynch are taking. You know, like what is this shit gonna look like, and how long before, you know, the infrared beams start getting pointed at you guys, and that seat starts to get hot in itself? Because now, look at where you were, 2 appearances in the bowl, you couldn't close out. You're going through a little rebuild, retool. How you gonna do this? Purdy's gonna get paid. You got your quarterback situation figured out.
Yeah.
Can you guys get back to prominence, or do you flounder? And what's going to be a very interesting NFC, like this conference is going to look a little different. There's some hard hitters on that side.
I agree with you.
So
not going to argue.
Are you going to be able to match the firepower of some of the teams that have been rebuilding?
Right now, the toughest teams on that schedule, and I read off, were probably the Rams, maybe the Texans. Who was the other team?
The schedule they have, from what I saw, it looks like it screams wild card to me. But
yeah,
is it a situation where you get to the playoffs and then get exposed? It's just the fact that you benefit from having an easy and manageable schedule where you can figure these things out and still look decent, get 10 wins.
I guess that's a team you want to put some money on to make the playoffs, whatever their odds are.
Because you got the within their own division is crazy enough as it is. I mean, it's a no-brainer that I feel like I'm all in on the Rams taking that division this year. But
look at the Bucs schedule. That's very manageable too.
Bucs are looking at the Atlanta Falcons week 1, the Texans,
the
Jets, potential 3-0 spot right there. And then that was followed by the Philadelphia Eagles in week 4. So Tampa can
then they got the Seahawks,
go on a nice
the
little
Niners,
hot streak.
The Lions, the Saints, they got the Pats, the Bills, the Chargers, the Cardinals, the Saints, the Falcons, the Panthers.
Again, manageable. Tampa Bay Bucs have a manageable schedule. A podcast favorite, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're pro Bucs here. We're pro Baker Mayfield. We're all in on their offense.
Brought me that shit.
This guy with Mbuka and the storyline with Mike Evans and Godwin and Bucky, and there's so many things to like about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
There's playmakers all over the offensive line across the board, and there's playmakers all over their defense too.
Yeah, absolutely.
This might be their most complete team this year, and I don't see the Falcons. I don't see the Panthers. I definitely don't see the Saints threatening the Bucs.
No, it's potentially looking like their division again.
I think the Bucs could be a 2 or 3 seed this year
in the NFC.
That's how highly I think of them.
2 or 3 seed in the NFC.
And for everybody who's going to be like, "Well, Baker's about to have his 3rd OC," I don't want to hear it. He's already had 2 separate OCs, and he's still thrown 71 touchdowns in the last 2 seasons.
So would you take the Bucs over the Eagles or the Lions? If you got them at the 2 spot, one of those guys got to fall in order for them to rise.
You're right.
Sacrifices have to be made.
It might be the Lions.
Detroit, your beloved Lions.
I can see the Lions falling to a 3rd or 4th seed.
Could happen.
I think the Eagles are the best team on paper right now. The only thing.
8 minutes left in the 3rd quarter of the semis in the Eastern playoffs. Right now, the Boston Celtics are up on the New York Knicks 75-68. Still plenty of ball left, but a Tatumless Boston Celtics team currently with a 7-point lead over the New York Knicks in Boston. massive game. Once again, Celtics back against the wall, playing with everything they've got of trying to avoid elimination. And then tonight at 9:35, we've got the Minnesota Timberwolves taking on the Golden State Warriors in our playoff doubleheader on podcast night. It's all going down, ladies and gentlemen. It is all going down. Thank God the Yankees game is over. I was able to enjoy watching them after I got out of work. Started at 4:10. That's the one thing I like. Like you say, like for me, a lot of the times when I'm working night shift, I appreciate those late games. And the fact that we were playing Seattle and it just gave me something to tune into on a late night when I couldn't sleep. I thought it was kind of cool. You know, start times were like at 10 o'clock or like 9:40. I didn't mind it. We took 2 out of 3 against the Moose out in Seattle. Day off for the Yankees tomorrow before we head into the big Subway Series when the Mets have to come to town. Mets have to come to the Bronx and prove if they really are the big brother or they ain't. We're going to find out. Juan Soto finally returning to the place that he loves. And the New York Mets and their fan base, they get to go up against their idols, the New York Yankees, and we get to find out. We get to find out for the first time this year how tough you guys really are.
I just want to know how tough you are.
Big series, no matter how you slice it, because at the end of the day, you got the Phillies fans who are looking up at the Mets right now. It's only a 2-game lead. However, they've held on to that lead for a bit. So, you know, Phillies fans, this weekend, it's okay for you guys to root for the Yankees. It's okay to root for the lesser of two evils because you're not going to be like Drew and say, go Mets, are you?
No, he didn't.
Well, we'll do you a favor.
See, there's too many messages in the chat.
It's too many to go back to scroll.
He said
back.
that.
Yeah, he had to be, you know, we had to have the conversation with them in the group chat.
Andrew, are you?
It was the haterade. It was the haterade, bro. It was the haterade.
You
Per
never.
usual, he changed his tune.
Dude, you never go for the Mets.
He changed his tune.
Who cares?
He changed his tune. He didn't say go Yankees yet, but we'll see. As we get closer to the weekend, we'll see where everybody's loyalties lie. Once the clash of the Subway
You want
Series,
the Yankees to sweep them. It helps the Phillies out.
I would love for the Yankees to sweep the Mets. I would love for the Yankees to sweep the Mets and for Trent Grisham to hit more home runs the way that he's been hitting them, to outproduce Juan Soto during that series. I think that would be absolutely incredible. It's fun because, you know, both teams are going to bring it. Neither team is going to sit there and downplay that series. They're in the Bronx. It's going to be live. The Mets fans are going to show up for this game. There's going to be a buzz in that stadium the entire time. Drew said, go Mets, and I had to sit him down and point at the graphics. Yeah, he lost himself. It's all right. It happens. He's learning. He's learning. He did say go Mets, though. I'm pretty sure he was. I'm glad
play
you
your stupid little RPG games.
I'm glad you co-signed on that because he did say go Mets right when he saw that the Yankees and the Mets were going to be facing off this weekend. That did come out of his mouth. That was a real thing that happened. But he's changed his tune. I'm sure that he's rooting for us to do the dirty work. Right now, you guys are down 9-7 in game 2 of your doubleheader. The Phillies won the first one. They're losing the second one as Nola and Sonny Gray went out there and just took a complete shit. ERAs sky high in game 2.
Damn, Dallas at the Rams.
That's to start the year. Rams versus Dallas, week 1. That's a good one.
No, it can't be. Oh wait, no, that's preseason.
It's crazy because you pull up Dallas's schedule as soon as Noli chimes in the comment section.
So
what's going on?
They start the year in Philly, Thursday night home opener of the year. Then they're home for the Giants, away for the Bears, home for the Packers, away for the Jets, away for the Panthers, home for the Commanders, away for the Broncos, home for the Cardinals, away for the Raiders, home for the Eagles, home for the Chiefs, away for the Lions, home for the Vikings, home for the Chargers, away for the Commanders, and away for the Giants. They got a nice little crunch of home games against pivotal opponents in that November-December range that could help them.
The heart of their season is going to be what tells the story of what their season is going to be. As we take a look at
they can make a big statement if they go on the Philly opening day and beat them.
They go into Philly on Thursday Night Football and they beat the
I'm
Eagles,
not saying that's going to happen
the
because then every Eagles fan's going to just start chiming in What I am saying is, it's the first game of the year. Upsets can happen.
There's a good chance that that Heather and I and my uncle may be at that opening day game on Thursday Night Football. It should be live. The energy out there should be incredible to start off the season. If the Cowboys were to take the air out of that stadium that night, fresh off of the Super Bowl victory, that would go a long way for them as far as moving forward into this season and what they want to do after a very bitter 2024 season where everything just kind of fell apart for them.
Damn.
To come out and make a statement.
The Jaguars are on Monday Night Football only on prime time once the entire year, and it's against Kansas City.
Nobody wants to watch that. Oof. Cowboys at Soldier Field or Mile High. I can't decide which one to hit.
Packers Lions is
that's pretty
one.
Cool, man. Have you been to either one of those stadiums? I don't think. Have you been to Denver yet? Either way, that's dope as hell, bro. To be able to go to either Soldier Field out in Chicago, all the history out there, Cowboys versus the Bears, or to go to Mile High in Denver. A lot of history between those two. Either way, it's going to be a hell of an experience.
Great game to get you started. Week 1, Lions Packers.
Damn. When do you play either of these teams? Like around what months? Because it's going to be cold as hell in both those spots once we get down to the heart of the season, and we're talking about November football.
Bears are close to December.
First time for either one. I'd say flip a coin, bro.
Ravens, Bills, Sunday night. Let's go, Bills.
Either way, you're taking the trip. And it's going to be a hell of an experience to go out there. You know what I mean? Your fan base travels well to be able to, Chicago is a great sports town in general, not just for football season, but they're like in on everything. So just to be out there and get the food and the experience out there. Chicago week 3, that's nice.
That would be good.
Denver would be cool to visit too and just see what all that altitude is all about. Yeah, Chicago versus Dallas. Week 3. Last week, post Steelers Cowboys trade of George Pickens, we came on this podcast and we kind of changed our tune as far as the Cowboys. We weren't so negative about them. They're
gonna have they're gonna have a way better offense.
We see 10 wins now.
And those two wide receivers are gonna open up whoever the running back is. They're gonna open up lanes, whether it be Miles Sanders, whether it be the gentleman they drafted. Or maybe the guy who I think is going to have a comeback of the year type player is Javonte Williams.
Eagles schedule just got posted. You've got the Cowboys, Chiefs, Rams, Bucks, Broncos, Giants to start the year, followed by Vikings, Giants, Packers, Lions, Cowboys, Bears, Chargers, Raiders, Commanders, Bills, and Commanders.
They don't play the Raiders?
Oh, yeah, they play the Raiders week 15. They got the Raiders.
Remember, that's 15. A Geno Smith Raiders team.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about question marks as far as the schedule. How about the question marks surrounding the Raiders with everything going on? A generational talent like Brock Bowers. You had a guy like Aiden O'Connell who was just perfect for Brock. So Geno should be an upgrade from O'Connell, even at this age.
And you got Ashton Jeanty now.
Doing what they did in the draft, taking Ashton Jeanty, doubling down and locking in Crosby and keeping him on that side of the football.
So week 1 is Allen versus Jackson. Week 2 is Hurts versus Mahomes. Week 4 is Jackson versus Mahomes. Week 6 is a rematch of Williams and Daniels. Week 9 is the annual matchup between Mahomes and Allen. And week 15 is Goff versus Stafford.
Noli, did you flip that coin yet? Did you make a decision as far as Chicago or Denver? I need to know which one you're picking.
We're probably going to go to the Colts game. She's saying it's November 2nd's our anniversary, our wedding anniversary. So
okay,
I think that'll probably be the one we go to.
Indy coming to Pittsburgh. I'll be rooting for the black and yellow for that game. Hope you guys take care of business for us. And then we'll be able to hopefully down the road.
Isaiah Likely, is he going to be the next man up this year? I would love it.
I mean, he fits the mold of what they want to do on offense. I feel like I'd put a little bit more trust and stock in him than I would Zay Flowers at this point when you look at the direction that offense is going.
Do the Chiefs take a step back this year?
I feel like the step back would be them getting eliminated in the AFC playoffs.
Yeah. I'm not saying miss
Super
the
Bowl.
playoffs.
The step back would be somebody on the AFC side finally.
All right, I got a better question. So 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. They've made 7 straight AFC championships. Does that streak end this year?
I mean, the question would be, I guess, is Baltimore, Buffalo? Baltimore, Buffalo ready to really do it, ready to close out the deal on it.
I can't put the Bengals in that conversation because their defense is still not there, and you got your best defender.
Yeah, but if the Bengals sneak in as a 7 seed, and let's just say Kansas City's a 2 seed, and we go into wild card weekend,
that could get.
And Joe Burrow,
like
goes
Burrow
into
could probably
Kansas
go
City,
in there,
bro.
beat the Chiefs, and the next week lose to the Bills or whatnot.
It could definitely get weird.
Because the Bengals still ain't got a D, and their best defensive player has pretty much said he will not play this year without a new deal. He said things are now personal. Trey Hendrickson said things are now personal between him and the team after texting back and forth with Zach Taylor. So Zach Taylor must have said something very rude, disrespectful to Trey Hendrickson.
If it's personal, then go sign with the Ravens. Go sign with the Steelers. Make it more personal.
I don't got money like that.
Make it more personal.
I don't think the Ravens got much money like that either for him.
Go ahead. Make it personal, dog. If you're saying
he wants to be traded, but they won't trade him. They could have gotten at least two twos for him.
Cincinnati will let his ass sit.
And they will.
Go ahead.
Look what they did with Carson Palmer.
Go ahead. You gonna threaten us? We don't care. We locked in who we care about. We already showed you what it is.
Yeah.
We already showed you what it is. They're not afraid to go out there and play the same brand of football next year. And if that gets them to 9-8, that can get them a wild card spot, and that's all they care about. Winning the division is great. It's all about getting in. And if the Bengals can just get in with what works for them with that formula, they're going to be a problem for everybody on that side until anybody else proves that they can actually dethrone Patrick Mahomes before he gets to the Super Bowl. The storyline has not changed on that side. The biggest skeleton in the Ravens and Bills closet is still the Kansas City Chiefs in 2025, no matter what. No matter what. They better hope and pray that the LA Chargers have evolved and developed to the point where maybe, just maybe, the LA Chargers are ready to, dare I say, take the West, take the division with 11 wins. And then maybe we can have a conversation about, now we're talking about Kansas City having to go travel somewhere else.
Well, we know the Chargers are going to run the football. They're going to run with Najee Harris, and they're going to run with Omarion Hampton, and they're just going to pound you into freaking submission.
They're going to run the ball, and they are going to have an efficient passing game. And most of it is going to go to Ladd McConkey. You know, it's going to be Ladd McConkey. It's going to be Omarion Hampton, Najee Harris, a healthy dose of both of those guys, 30 to 35 carries between those two. And then, you know, trying to make the right plays. And if they have the lead, the Chargers are going to bleed the clock. They're going to play fundamentally sound football.
With no remorse.
And try not to make the mistakes when they have to go up against the big teams. And then, you know, see how far that gets them when it comes down to December and January football. As we see the promo for the Vikings versus Steelers in Dublin. That's going to be the one where you say the lounge is open all day.
Yeah.
For the, you know, early morning.
9 o'clock in the morning, I'll be up.
Week 4, Vikings
I'll be up
versus
earlier.
Steelers.
9, I'll be pacing.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't really taken a good look at my team schedule. I just know the first 2 weeks. I saved the photo here.
That game, I'm going to be comfortable, and I'm going to be on the other side of the lounge watching it. And then once that game's done, I'll come back. We'll come back over here and load them all up.
So we don't play until next year. We don't play each other this year unless we cross paths in the playoffs. But we've got the Denver Broncos to open up the year. We've got the Los Angeles
Falcons,
Rams,
Colts, and Berlin.
We've got the Indianapolis Colts, Texans, Cardinals, Raiders, Patriots, Colts, Chargers, bye week, and then close out the year with Texans, Seahawks, Jaguars, Browns, 49ers, Chiefs, Saints, Jaguars. Feels manageable. Rookie quarterback taking over the team.
The whole AFC South.
Not sure what to expect.
I don't think their schedule's hard, the AFC South this year.
No, it comes down to the South versus South.
Yeah. Because I looked at the Colts scouts, I was like, yo, if DJ could take this team to the playoffs, it's going to be crazy.
It's all manageable.
Here's the crazy part.
League is trying to throw us a bone.
If Daniel Jones takes the Colts to the playoffs and say they win the division, Daniel Jones is going to get a contract extension with the Colts. That's my hot take of the too early season.
Then, Richardson gets traded. Potentially.
Yep.
Somebody's going to need something out there. Maybe he goes and sits behind another mobile quarterback in the league, somebody who can kind of fit the same skill set. Who knows? Maybe a team like Washington takes a flyer out on Anthony Richardson just to have somebody there, just to like if Anthony Richardson can't make it work this year, that's what his career becomes. Like you fall into the role of journeyman and you go out there and now you wait for your opportunity to present itself, or you sit behind a star quarterback.
I mean, at the end of the day, we all said he was picked really high. Nobody thought he should have been picked that high.
By a team that's cursed ever since Andrew Luck retired.
So it's not, Colts, I don't know.
Colts' best bet is to just sign a veteran quarterback. Sort of kind of like what they had right now in the situation they have right now, where like now Danny's
and you know what's crazy? I know Carson Wentz shit his pants that game against the Jaguars where everybody wore clown suits, but he was actually pretty good that year for them.
We beat them twice, which is also awesome.
They went 9 and he took them 9-8?
Yeah.
They haven't been good since.
Their best version of them was Phillip Rivers' version that lost to
and they only lost because all of a sudden Mr. Frank Reich wanted to start going for it on fourth downs. Had Frank Reich been kicking field goals, they probably would have beaten. Who did they play that day? The Bills, right?
Bills. That was the Buffalo Bills.
They probably would have beat the Bills.
They were. It was a close one. They had a shot to win it.
If he took all those field goals,
that was the best version of the Indianapolis Colts.
Phil Rivers would have been another week into the playoffs, which would have been crazy.
Yep. 88-76 right now between the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks. 2 minutes and 45 seconds left.
Looks like we're getting
the third quarter.
Knicks in 6, huh? Guess it wasn't going to be Knicks in 5.
Knicks are up 3-1 right now.
They're at Boston, right?
They're in the Boston Gardens.
So that's why.
Back against the wall. Hey, they haven't won a game in Boston yet. They lost both games in Boston.
Got to win one. Got to make the league happy. Just like, the league made sure that a team with a 1.6% chance of getting the number 1 overall pick got it.
We now know that the Mavericks had to have known that they were getting the first overall pick.
I don't care what anybody says.
It doesn't
There's
matter.
No way.
Says. This is just like the
ratings are down. Nobody's watching us. Let's send another superstar to a big market team and get eyes on the product because everybody's going to talk because it's paired with LeBron. And that's what happened because it dominated headlines in all the sports for those couple weeks. And the trade was unbelievably horrid because they could have sent him anywhere else and got a landmine. So we now know they had their backdoor agreement. I guarantee you every last one of them damn balls in that damn little jugular lotto machine all had a Mavericks logo on it.
It's no different than 1984
and then somebody
Patrick
went
Ewing draft with the
and
frozen
then somebody
envelope.
and then somebody went up and they had probably a trap door underneath, pushed a couple balls down, and then threw up the Sixers, threw up the Spurs, threw up the rest of the teams.
There you go.
And there you go. I do not care what anybody says. That shit was fixed.
Mm-hmm.
There is nobody on this planet that can tell me any differently.
The NBA draft lottery is one of the biggest works of all the works in any sport, sports entertainment. It is a complete work, bro. A little half-hour show before a playoff game.
I mean, even the Sixers to finish in the top 3. The Sixers were like a 5% chance to get in the top 3, and they got to the top 3.
Well, it's because the league knows you guys aren't going to draft the right guy anymore.
They can't screw this draft up. All 3 of those guys that are there are all quality guys that are going to make impacts in the NBA.
Cooper Flag is going
all
to the
3
Mavericks.
of them. Cooper Flag is going to be a superstar, but the other 2 are right there.
Yeah. It's got to set them up for success. And we'll go from there.
Oh, what's this? Oh, Ticketmaster telling me to hurry up and buy some tickets. Yeah.
Oof, 91 to 76 right now. Looks like the Boston Celtics are pulling away here in Game 5, which, you said it earlier, some of the beloved Knicks fans that we know, some of our closest buddies have been screaming Knicks in 6.
They got their wish.
So you are going to have that opportunity present itself looking like maybe Friday or Saturday night. I'm not sure when Game 6 actually is, but nonetheless, right now, but let's not forget the Boston Celtics in every loss so far have been blowing leads. Every single game they've lost, they've blown 20-point leads. So right now they are sitting on a 15-point lead. And it's just a matter of, are they going to be able to close out the fourth quarter, secure the win, and get themselves a flight to New York for Game 6, Madison Square Garden, this weekend. Same time as the Subway Series, same time as the MLB going around and doing a lot of rivalries. Ohtani's going to be taking on his former team, the Angels. Everybody's going to be going up against some of their biggest rivals. So it's going to be a fun weekend of baseball. Fun weekend of basketball as we, close out the semifinals and get to what the Eastern Conference Finals and the
Lions
Western
Commanders
Conference
Week
Finals
10. That's a big matchup.
Lions got to have that one circled on
after
the
the Commanders. Just went in there and just
beat them.
Yeah, dominated them.
It reminded me of how the Bengals took it to the Bills in the playoffs that one year, where they were just driving it down the field on them, and they had no answer for just stopping them. And the confidence just built and built on one side of the football, and you saw the desperation and the pressure build on the opposite side, and the team that just wasn't able to overcome the amount of injuries on defense. I wouldn't be shocked if the Lions during the regular season look great again. It's just a matter of, with these guys, like, you gonna represent the NFC in the Super Bowl or what?
The window's closing.
Are you gonna do it? Because teams are catching up, bro. Teams are catching up. You can only be the NFL darling for so long. You can only have everybody love you for so long before people start to turn and say to themselves, these guys can't close. These guys can't finish. You just hosted the biggest playoff game in your city in decades. And in hosting that game, you hosted a Washington Commanders team that went in there with a rookie quarterback and had absolutely no fear for what you had going on in there. They were not intimidated to go into the Motor City and drive the football down your throats into the end zone over and over and over until, they basically had you guys on the ropes. You couldn't get saved by the bell.
How many picks did he throw in that game?
It was like 3 or 4.
And they were all crucial, too.
A beatdown of the Detroit Lions. Have you been able to recoup from washing that bad taste out of your mouth, or are you stuck in a spin cycle of, here we go again, round 2? Are we going to impose our dominance like we normally do, or are we about to go up against a sneaky hot 6 seed who just made it through Wild Card Weekend and is about to come into Detroit and blow the doors off of us again? It can only go one of two ways. I don't doubt Detroit is going to make the playoffs. It's just a question of how far are you going to go from here? How far are you going to go?
I agree with you. They're a good team, and like you said, how far can you go? How far can you take this team to where it needs to be? The window's closing. Like, most teams get this 3-year window, maybe 4 if you're lucky. So they have to capitalize this year, next year. Because soon enough they got to start paying everybody.
It's a tough conference too, man. Teams are catching up. Tough division, not just conference. We talked about everything going on in the NFC North. We don't know what
the Lions have 11 games versus 2024 playoff teams.
Yeah, how are they going to look? They just put you got Packers, Bears, Ravens, Cleveland, Cincinnati, KC, Tampa.
The bye week.
That's tough. That's a tough little stretch going into the bye week.
The first
Cincinnati,
7 games,
Cleveland, Tampa.
The first 7 games can make or break them.
Yeah, they end the season with some important division games too. they could be going into the bye week with kind of like a 3-3-ish type of, like I don't know.
I agree.
It's going to be tough.
The NFC North, they said, has the toughest schedule.
Looking at their stretch where they have to face Tampa, Kansas City, Cincinnati all in a row, like they could end up going 1-2.
And 3 of their last 4 games are on the road to end the year. And 2 of them are division opponents.
That's tough. That is tough. We are now officially seeing what the Detroit
easiest
Lions
strength
are
of
actually
schedule
made
so
of.
far as we are today are the 49ers, Saints, Patriots, Titans, Cardinals, Panthers.
Yeah, we're up there. Knowing one thing about my team, we're gonna definitely make it harder than it needs to be, though. We're pretty good at that. But we are definitely on the list as far as the easiest strength schedule, based off of what we know from last year. Still got to play the game on the field, though. Oh, Monday Night Football Week 2 is going to be Chargers and Raiders. Pulled up the Rams schedule. That looks kind of tough there. I think it gets easier towards the back end, but in the front, you got Philly, you got San Fran, you got Baltimore before the bye week.
Damn.
Right now, and NFL Network is just running through the different schedules right now.
Cynthia Freeland thinks that the Patriots have the easiest schedule in the league. It's all going to rely on that man right there, number 10.
Will they capitalize?
Drake May.
Yeah, he's this year's darling. We all love Drake May. We're all believers in
and
May.
We're going to see the impact of Mike Vrabel.
We're trading
Mike
for
Vrabel
May
is a hell of a
Dynasty.
coach.
Where they've revamped their defense. They spent a lot of money on the defensive side of the football.
Yes, they did.
They are bringing in pieces. They drafted Travion Henderson, added him with Ramondre Stevenson.
Well, Trayvon Henderson is RB1.
Vrabel, coming back to New England, coming back home virtually to take over the helm as head coach for this Patriots team. A division that still runs through the Buffalo Bills. However, there's room for improvement, man. There's room for improvement there. There's so many teams that are kind of just starting fresh this year. We've seen the last couple of years
completely healthy this year, man.
Like last couple of years, some of these team stories have played out and they've reached an end, and now it's kind of like the Jets are kind of starting over. The Dolphins, I don't know, man. I don't know what we're getting with the Dolphins. Are they going to trade Tyreek Hill? Like,
if they trade Tyreek Hill, they're not going to be no more than a 7-8 win team.
They trade Tyreek Hill.
If they keep Tyreek
Waddle's
Hill,
the wide receiver 1.
They keep Tyreek Hill. They're a 9-10 win team.
They keep Tyreek Hill,
but they're also saying that Tyreek is completely healthy. Like the wrist is 100%. All is well with the wrist, so they don't expect no drop off from him last year, because that's what the thing is. He didn't want to use it as a crutch, but he said like his hand was pretty much broken the whole year, and he was just shooting it up to make it through the year because he thought the team was good enough to do some damage. But they weren't, because Tua got the head injury again.
Happens every year, bro. Unfortunately. I think that's just their story to this point. I'm out on the stock that I had in Miami. I'm out. I'm looking at the league.
Yeah, it's gonna be sad because I'm probably gonna be out the Tua Tyreek combo, and then watch it like
blow up.
Yeah, and then me and you will sit there like week 6 going like this.
Yeah, that's what happens.
What were you thinking?
There's always a couple players that I'm completely out on in fantasy. In that year, that one of those players just goes off completely. I have no stock in them anywhere.
That's how I felt about Derrick Henry last year.
And they just go crazy.
I didn't think Derrick Henry was going to be that good. I thought he was starting to take his steps back from the last couple of years of Tennessee, and I was like, shit.
They've been telling me Derrick Henry's
because Derrick Henry for the last 2 years was getting hurt. He wasn't finishing the whole years. He was missing games.
His bad years are better than most of the league's running backs years.
I was like, this isn't going to work. And I didn't take him anywhere. Just like Barkley. I didn't want to take Barkley because I thought he was going to get hurt this year again. Now I'll buy Barkley shares in week 2. He'll have nagging injuries for the whole year.
I'm learning to have more of an open mind when it comes to my draft process, because at the end of the day, the injury risk is baked into all these players. We just use injuries against the players that get hurt more often. I do it. It's a fair assessment. Jalen Waddle, a name I just said.
Yeah.
I avoid him because of that. Like, It sucks.
I keep picking them, bro.
It sucks when you see this guy on the ground in the second quarter, and you're just like,
Jalen Waddle has been ruled out for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And you're just like, and then you see him on the sideline walking around like no problem, laughing, and you're like, if it was a playoff game, he could have pushed through it. I hate when they say shit like that. If it was a playoff game, he could have pushed through it.
I trust 31-year-old Derrick Henry right now more than I trust Jalen Waddle. I don't know how old he is, but I think Derrick Henry's
I trust 33-year-old Keenan Allen more than
I trust Alvin Kamara right now more than Jalen Waddle. But one thing I don't trust is the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins, to me, smell and look like a team that's going to miss the playoffs in 2025. They're going to be on the outside looking in, still trying to figure out their process. The Dolphins stack can be overpowered and overmatched by better football teams.
I guess maybe if you're in a 2 QB league, you still want to think about it.
Absolutely.
Or if you're in a super QB league.
Absolutely.
If you're in a super QB league,
I'm not.
Where you can play, you start your 2 QBs and in the super flex start a third quarterback.
Yeah. I don't need to wait until August to talk about some of the teams that I'm out on. Miami's one of those teams.
I don't think they're making the playoffs.
I'm much more interested in what
I was very high on them.
On.
I picked them to be in the Super Bowl with the Lions because I was trying to be out of, I'm tired of the same old prediction for everybody.
Last couple
Eagles
years.
and Chiefs, Bills and Eagles, Chiefs and,
Bills and Eagles is going to be a popular one this year.
Oh, yeah.
Bills and Eagles is probably going to be the most popular bet placed as far as the Super Bowl goes.
Yeah.
Eagles have a great shot to make it there. I don't know about Buffalo though. I don't know.
Wonder if I could pick AFC championship teams
or
NFC champion. Like who's gonna play who? Because I think I'm gonna throw the Bucks in an NFC championship bet.
Bucks Lions.
Ooh.
Do we dabble with the divisional champion parlay like we tried to do last season? NFL futures. We got time. We got all summer still. But the odds are
high right now.
the odds are really good right now, and they are not going to be the same as we get closer to the regular season.
The Sunday night games are Ravens, Bills, Falcons, Vikings, Chiefs, Giants, Packers, Cowboys, Pats, Bills, Lions, Chiefs, Falcons, Niners, Packers, Steelers, Seahawks, Commanders, Steelers, Chargers, Lions, Eagles, Bucks, Rams, Broncos, Commanders, Texans, Chiefs, Vikings, Cowboys, Bengals, Dolphins, and Bears, Niners.
Sunday night football slate dropping. Big day, man. Draft day's a big day. Rookie draft is big, and the NFL schedule release is big because all these guys are out in training camp right now. We're already getting the reports. We're getting the news.
You get your OTAs and all that.
The players that are outperforming, the players
mandatory mini camp starts next month.
Players that are shifting more towards the special team side of the football. You know what I mean? Like who's actually doing what out there, and also similar to
the money lines are already out.
Oh, for week 1.
The Eagles are a 7-point favorite against the Cowboys week 1. That's a big number.
Eagles by a touchdown.
Yeah, -7.
Kind of like that. Well, Monday Night Football, Vikings, Bears, Buccaneers, Texans, Chargers, Raiders, Lions, Ravens, Jets, Dolphins. Oof.
Yikes.
Okay. Eagles are going to be a couple Monday Night Football games. You guys got Monday Night Football week 15, Dolphins at Pittsburgh Steelers. Cardinals, Cowboys week 9 on Monday Night Football is interesting. Reminds me of back in the day when the Cardinals were in that division. Commanders, Chiefs, week 8, Monday Night Football. Commanders, Giants, Cowboys, Raiders, Falcons, Chargers, Chicago, Dallas, Kansas City, Seattle, Detroit, Miami. I mean, you want to talk about being tested.
Wow,
the Washington Commanders are going to be tested with
Pittsburgh
the schedule that they've got.
+110 for over 8.5 wins.
+110. Over 8.5. Steelers. 8 and 9. 9-8. I don't know. I can't.
$5 wins 10.50.
I can't bet on you guys, bro. I feel you guys. I'd rather just not deal with it at all. So you guys can be whatever you want to be, and I'd rather just
Cleveland Browns are a plus 500 for over 8.5.
Here's a question: how long before Shedeur Sanders starts? Because clearly the only guy he has to beat out in that locker room is Joe Flacco. That is it. So I'll make this proclamation.
What about Dylan Gabriel, dog?
I'll make this proclamation right now on this podcast. And I am a pro Flacco guy. I'll say it right now. Shedeur Sanders will start this year before Danny Dimes starts. The Browns will put Shedeur Sanders out there.
Team with the fewest regular season wins. Oof. Right now, the leader in the pack is the Browns at plus 475. Right after them
plus money
is the Saints plus 500. That's a bet. I would bet like $5 maybe on each one.
Yes, I haven't put any time into the futures for the NFL.
If you bet $5 on the Saints, you're gonna win $30.
That's a home run bet. Basically.
Yeah,
it's a home run bet.
If you bet $5 on the Browns, it's $28. The Giants are plus 650.
Interesting.
They got you guys at plus 1,100.
For us to have the least amount of wins.
Yeah, I don't see that happening 2 years in a row.
I don't, but it's still interesting.
And you're right. Everybody's plus money for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Eagles are 650. Bills are 700. Ravens 700. Chiefs are 750. Lions are a plus 1,000.
Lions are plus 1,000.
All it is Super Bowl. It doesn't say win.
No. Just who is gonna be there?
Can I pick two? Like if I pick the Lions,
parlay
and
the
two, Chiefs, it won't let me parlay them.
Well, you bet them both straight. Hell, you can. I mean, I guess you take $20, put 5 on 4 teams.
$20 wins $220.
You put $5 on 4 different teams, and you know, hopefully a couple of them cash for you, and you're up. It's more or less better to know who you have in your NFC Championship and AFC Championship.
Here we got
games.
exact results for the Super Bowl. Right now, if the Eagles beat the Ravens, it's plus 3,000. If the Chiefs beat the Eagles, it's plus 3. Everybody's plus 3.
Ravens are an interesting one for the Super Bowl.
Damn
it! Wyatt Langford hit a home run. And I left him on the bench.
Lions. If the Lions beat the Bills, it's plus 4,500.
I kind of like that matchup too.
If the Steelers beat the Eagles, it's plus 16,000.
That's a come up right there.
Let's see what that would be.
Not gonna happen, but
$5 would win you $805. 20 would win you $3,200.
Big
that
money.
Would be crazy.
Big money. Oh man. So pod is postponed next week.
Yep.
Correct?
There'll be no podcast next week.
Your actual birthday is the 21st?
Yep. Yes, it is.
What's the plans? What's going on?
Don't know yet.
Winging it?
Let the wife decide that for me.
Okay. Good stuff. Hope you enjoy it. Podcast will be taking a breather for O Money to be able to celebrate the B-Day. His lovely wife, Crystal. And we'll be back in action 2 weeks from now, at which point in time we'll probably be previewing what the Eastern Conference and Western Conference finals are looking like.
Yes, we will. That's what it most likely.
We'll be a couple games in on both those series. You know, did the Knicks get over the hump and what that situation with them and the Pacers are going to look like?
Touchdown scorers are already alive.
NFL prop bets are already alive for week 1, ladies and gentlemen.
Barkley's a plus. Right now, Barkley is a plus. He's a minus 215. My bad.
They are wasting no time. I'm ready to put down a Saquon Barkley anytime touchdown months in advance because I know it's going to happen. I'm confident in it. Dallas could play the ultimate. Dallas money line is an interesting bet going into Thursday night football.
I'm not gonna lie, bro,
because that money line is probably real juicy right now. It's a great letdown spot coming off of the Super Bowl. A lot of young players on the defensive side of the football for Philly. We saw,
Cam Ward already has a prop for passing yards.
We saw Philly kind of struggle first couple weeks of the year. Started out 2-2. It wasn't all pretty. They figured it out towards the end. But if you're gonna get them, it's good to get them early. And if anybody needs a win early in the season, it's the Dallas Cowboys.
Bro, if they get a win early in the season, that could change the whole trajectory of their season.
I agree. It absolutely could.
Wins like that,
absolutely could. No doubt about it. Those are feel-good moments, feel-good wins. Going into Philly, being the first team they face after the Eagles win the Super Bowl, steal a victory in Philly from them, that's massive. That is absolutely massive. We have plenty of time to review that. We have plenty of time to break down that, discuss that, everything else in between. The leaks are, they've been dropping all day, and now it's official. They're running through the schedules for all these teams. A lot of what ifs, the big what if teams like the Panthers after, getting Tet and another year of Bryce Young and what they're trying to do in order to compete in that division that's run by the Bucs. You got the Jets, you got the Patriots, you got the Dolphins, the Raiders, just so many questions. So much time to really sit down and break everything down. And as you guys know, the yearly tradition on this podcast here, the Mega Powers, what we like to do is we like to break down August into 5 quarters. And in each quarter of August on that week's podcast, we take a division from the NFC, a division from the AFC, and we mash them up and break down who we think are going to take the divisions, who we think are going to be in the basement of those divisions, and who we think are the up-and-coming teams within those divisions, which leads to the final podcast before kickoff weekend, which is our playoff previews podcast with our division winners, with our wild cards, with our honorable mentions, with our MVPs, all that good stuff wrapped up into it with a bow. We spend the entirety of August looking over, breaking down all the analysis and information that we have from the summer, taking it into August, into redraft season, where we will be having our fantasy redraft league drafts all throughout the end of August, the beginning of September. Time to get those mock drafts going to see where everybody falls. Now that we know where these rookies are, it is time to. Oh, look, there we go. Highest win totals: Bills, Eagles, Ravens, Bengals.
So you think the Bills are going to win 12 games this year?
I could see 12 for the easy schedule. I'll take the over on that.
They absolutely
13. 13's a good number for Buffalo.
They got the Ravens, the Patriots, the Dolphins, the Bengals,
Jets, Falcons.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Ravens, the Jets, the Dolphins, Saints, Patriots, Falcons, bye. Panthers, Chiefs, Dolphins, Bucks, Texans, Steelers, Bengals, Patriots, Browns, Eagles.
They got 4 hard games.
Yeah.
4, maybe 5.
You didn't put the Pittsburgh Steelers as one of the hard games, right? That's an easy win.
I didn't. I wasn't even looking at that one.
Good. That'd have been silly of you.
I saw the Bucks there. That's a challenge. The Chiefs are always going to be a challenge for them. The Bengals are a challenge for them. Ravens to start the year is going to be a challenge. Even though they seem to fare well against the Ravens, they I will say that they tend to do well against Baltimore. It's just the big bad wolf of Kansas City. That was a crazy play. I remember seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
That was nuts. He was doing a lot of that this year. Rode his coattails to 2 championships this year. Thank you, Josh Allen, for all your contributions. Even the dud weeks, I'll take those. I'll take the bad weeks because they were still better than a lot of teams' weeks. Bengals. Ooh, that's kind of tough.
Browns, Jags, Vikings, mix. Broncos, Lions, Packers, Steelers, Jets, Bears, Steelers, Patriots, Ravens, Bills. Ooh, that. Oof. Ravens, Bills, Ravens, Dolphins, Cardinals.
It's tough, man.
Miami, the Miami game is interesting because it's not in Cincy, it's in Miami. So Miami's at home.
Also,
weather.
The Bengals always start slow. No matter what their season is going to be, they start
slow.
slow.
You can't start slow on that schedule.
The Bengals like to get punched around before they start punching back. I've noticed that about this team. You know, to me, they feel like a wild card team. I don't see them winning that division this year.
You see them winning 10 games?
I could see 10. I'm looking between 9 to 10 as the magic number for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Listen, at the end of the day, though, if they were to miss the playoffs again, this will be their third year missing the playoffs in a row.
I've seen a lot of teams with suspect defenses win playoff games. It happens, you know. The best thing you could do for a defensive suspect is give them a 2-touchdown lead to work with. And all of a sudden, you're taking chances, you're zone blitzing.
If they miss the playoffs again, the questions will be rightfully deserved.
Absolutely.
3 years in a row?
Absolutely. I mean, but there's other guys in the league, like quarterbacks that don't even have playoff wins under their belt.
It's not going to be his fault. I don't think it's all going to be his fault, of course. But the problem is when the Bengals start slow, he starts slow.
I don't think it was his fault last year.
Because he started slow last year.
He was an MVP candidate last year with a team that was
that first month of the season. He was bad with them.
It was rough, but he turned it. Well, he had 45 touchdown passes. You know, for a team that missed the playoffs. Like,
I was watching a comment from an actual Bengals fan. He goes, "It's going to be so awesome to watch Joe Burrow throw 4 touchdowns against the defense, just to watch the other team guy throw 5 touchdowns against us and beat us."
And that could very well be.
And that's Bengals fans saying this.
That could very well be the story of their year. It could very well be that they're not so different.
None of those. A lot of the fans that I mess around with are kind of like not as optimistic, just like I am with the Steelers season. Like, they're like, yeah, we got this great offense, but if you can't stop any, what the hell does it matter?
When you double down on your strengths, it's only going to go one of 2 ways.
You're either going to get them big ass leads and
that's it,
and hope the other guy on the other side can't keep up with you, or
you're going to get smoked and you're going to be playing catch up, which is great for fantasy owners who have the Bengals because you're going to get your points and some. T. Higgins with his situation now, he's locked in. They can move on amicably.
There's something about Higgins' contract that they can get out of after the first year. I was reading.
That'll be interesting. They drafted in the 6th round Taj Brooks, young running back who I don't really feel like is much of a threat to Chase Brown. If anything, he's more of a threat to Zach Moss. We don't really know what the situation with Moss is. They could still potentially cut him.
He reworked his deal so he could stay with them.
One thing I'm not worried about is the Bengals offense. So we already know what they're bringing to the table. It's just a question of, is that going to be enough for them to get themselves into the tournament this year? And
So yeah,
create some havoc.
The Bengals can choose to not exercise the option after the season and void his deal.
Okay. Damn, Cardinals up 14-7. Rough game 2. At least you guys won game 1 though.
9-7 they won?
No, it's 14-7 right now, Cardinals.
Woo!
It's in the bottom of the 9th. It's almost over. Doubleheader today because of the rain out yesterday. Just take your loss and just move on to the next. That's all you can do. Nothing to see here.
Oh my God, Burleson,
and as of right now, it is officially blowout territory as the Boston Celtics are up 110-89 on the.
Damn, Burleson went 3 for 5 today, a homer, 4 RBIs. I needed that from him.
Another guy I wasn't patient with.
Oh, great. Arenado, 1 for 6. Thanks for my.
I dropped Mason Wynn. He's hitting bombs now. I dropped Pete Crow Armstrong. He's hitting bombs every other day now. It's just my team's not hitting bombs or not hitting enough bombs, and those guys are just out there making your teams great. And I'm getting
my team still loses, so
destroyed.
Arenado went 1 for 10 today. 1 for 10.
Doubleheader. That's crazy.
Burleson went 3 of 6. Herrera went 4 of 8.
Castellanos, 3 for 8. Got me a run, 2 RBIs, a stolen base. I'll take it. I ain't mad at you. Schwarber, in my other league, Schwarber got me a home run earlier. That's what he does. When in doubt.
And Schoolball gave up a bunch of runs today to help get my ERA.
Hey, Red Sox lit him up a little bit.
It was 5-something. Where's the score? He got the no decision. They beat the Red Sox 6-5.
Okay, interesting.
Destroyed my ERA. Well, not him. Aaron Nola destroyed my ERA. I had like a 1-something. Now my shit's up to 5.46.
We destroyed the hopes of a lot of fans today. We destroyed ERAs for anybody who was bold enough to start them. Oh, look at that. If you play fantasy on Sleeper, if you play Dynasty on Sleeper, you've already got the color-coded favored matchups for week one. As you know, the greener the matchup, the better it is on paper. Again, we're basing it off of last year. So, everybody who has been waiting to, get a glimpse of what's going down. If you've been keeping track of Sleeper on Dynasty, you can now see the matchups for week one. They're already lined up for your teams. If you want to take a gander at that, everything's starting to slowly flesh out for the NFL season that is coming. It's only going to come around the corner faster.
Damn, I'm going to have a bare-ass lineup for Thursday.
I have 6 guys, and that's if they choose to play. It might be 3. I have 6 and 1 pitcher.
This is why I start to lose, bro. I have the lead Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then by Friday, I just lose it.
I'm down in every category going into a Thursday where I'm not even going to have half my team. So it's all or nothing going into the weekend. Part of me is chalking up this week as it is, and I need a fresh start after this is a slump right here. Bambinos are in a slump. Bambinos are in a slump.
I got the green with Mayfield, the green with Junkins, the green with Hampton, green with McMillan,
bud.
Orange with Pittman, green with Laporta, green with Addison.
All that's missing is the number projections for the teams, which eventually you'll end up seeing that, like for your players, like what their projected score is going to be, and then after that, and for us, there's a nice little boost because we like to actually have fun. We're not treating it like a prison. We play fantasy football with bonus points. That's right. How dare we? Sorry, we like to take it up a notch, and that's why our leagues have the longest wait list of any fantasy leagues, because at the end of the day, everybody wants to know what it's about. What's the craziness about? What's Elite 8? What's Finer Things Club? What is that? What is the All the Money Sports 2 quarterback league? Shit, I have been playing this long enough now to know that a lot of leagues out there weren't even running 2 quarterbacks when we were doing this. That was blasphemy. 2 quarterbacks. You guys call it super flex now, but we've been doing that. We've been living that life, bro. Doesn't even make sense to call it super flex, because why wouldn't you start a second quarterback there, bro? Come on. We do this. We do this. Draft season is upon us. Dynasty season is upon us. So excited. Absolutely loving the fact that tonight we are seeing the reveal for the schedule, marking it on our calendars. I'm going to call my uncle tomorrow in Texas, and we're going to figure out this situation that we've got going on, because it sounds and feels like we will be at Thursday Night Football.
Dead. Send a counter.
Yeah, send a counter. I'm just going to watch his team burn. That's what I want to do. I want to watch his team burn. I'm going to send him a couple offers, and if he acts up with these, that's it. That's the last straw. I'm done. I am done, because I don't got to make any more moves. My team is set. I've got the depth. I've got the firepower. Now I'm just looking to recoup some picks here and there, because I got too many roster spots. I need some empty spaces. However, I ain't going to be forcing anything. Well, feels like another episode in the books here tonight.
The Bloodline.
For On the Money podcast. Not much else to cover. Knicks lost on the game 6. We've got game 5 tonight of Timberwolves and Warriors. I believe it's game 5. I know Timberwolves have the lead. Timberwolves are looking kind of scary right now. They're looking pretty dangerous. They're looking and feeling like a team that could potentially, maybe they'll be able to do it. We're narrowing down the teams for the NBA Finals now. Getting down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
So
we're about to get down to the Final Four.
It's going to be a fun time. Happy to be here on podcast night.
Christmas Day, Thanksgiving Day. We have so many matchups.
Great matchups to break down, to expand upon, to review.
We're 3.5 months away.
Yeah, right around the corner.
To that first week.
Yep.
That first lineup.
Yep. You're absolutely
that first
right about
bet.
that.
The anytime. Are we taking yards? Are we taking touchdowns?
I am not done.
Are we doing receptions?
I am not done with home runs in baseball. I have a whole summer of home run bets for baseball before I have to transition to anytime touchdowns. It's not the same payout, man, but it's still a lot of fun to do. It's cool. Like we sit here, we sweat out the bets together. You know what I mean? We know when to cash out after the disastrous episode of the parlay where we both needed the Eagles money line, and that just so happens to be the day the Arizona Cardinals decide, hey,
we're gonna beat them.
Let's give them hell today, boys, for no reason.
That'd have been a $45 come up for me off of like $3.
That would have been a good one.
That made me sick.
Plenty of time to cook on Sunday mornings if we can. And plenty of time to break down everything that we get right and wrong. This now is officially not just dynasty season, but reaction season, proclamation season, prediction season. Anything you got, put it in that notebook, put it on the board, because this is where we make it happen. This is where we look like complete imbeciles or total geniuses based on our preseason predictions. Who is going to be our dark horses this year? Who are our favorites? Who
is that man going to be the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Our Super Bowls. Is he out of the darkness? Will he make his announcement the day of the game? You know, take off the Jets green jersey and have the black and yellow under it. You know, make a spectacle of the whole thing. Oh, it should be good, man. It should be good. But until then, it's been a pleasure as always, ladies and gents. We know it's a busy night in the sports world, so a lot of eyes are on a lot of different things.
We know a lot of Knicks fans aren't tuned in because they're sad.
But the beauty of the podcast is we get a lot of people to watch on Thursdays. So if you have the time, if you're listening on Thursday, we appreciate you. We appreciate you for tuning in live tonight, taking time out of the games to watch us tonight on the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, we thank and appreciate you. We take the hiatus next week so that my buddy can celebrate his birthday.
We'll be back in 2 weeks.
We will be back. It will be May 28th. Mark it on your calendars. The Mega Powers return after a 2-week hiatus to discuss everything going on in the world of sports.
We're going to be talking the Final Four.
We will be talking the Final Four, breaking that down, and all the latest news going on in the NFL from OTAs, training camps, and potential holdouts, because we didn't even get to James Cook. That could be something that we can let play out. You know, as we know that he hasn't been in contact with the Buffalo Bills ever since the season ended, and there's going to be more to that story. We'll save that. We'll save that little morsel for 2 weeks from now. If we get more, we give more. Does he get paid? We shall see. Until then, it's been real, ladies and gents. From the commissioner, from the champ, we bid you adieu.